All right, hello. Welcome back. Chase Thomas Podcast, taping this on a Monday night. It's a family affair on a different day. Cousin Logan is here. Logan, good evening, sir. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. It's good to see Tennessee still in March Madness. That's fun to watch. Hopefully you guys can finally get some good luck this year. You know,
I mean, I feel pretty good. I feel like the Final Four is very much in the cards with who's lost in front of them. It's a good situation. I'm feeling pretty
definitely
good.
Also
Also here, my good friend here at this time every single week, Evan Sowards of 49ers Hub. He's got the beanie on. He's shaved. He's got a strong mustache going at the moment. He went snowboarding this weekend and did not get hurt again. So good job by you, Evan. How are you?
Who's to say? I'm very sore.
Well, it can go way worse. I would choose to be sore from snowboarding over the alternatives.
No,
like Chase Elliott is not racing cars right now because he got hurt.
I did not break my foot running. That is correct.
Yes.
No. Hey, how's it going? I
you ever
don't
gotten
care
hurt,
about
seriously?
Tennessee football at all, so I just want the record to be shown while these two talk about that. Oh, basketball too. That's what it was. Basketball. No, how are you? Why don't you give your cousin a better intro than that? That
What do you mean?
sucked.
What was wrong with that intro?
Mean? You just said, "Hey, cousin."
He's been on before.
Not with me.
yeah.
No. What do you want? Here, you have an
I've been
idea
on
of what
a
I
few
should
times.
do. What is it? How should I have done it?
No. I mean, like, welcoming back onto the podcast my cousin, full name, who does or cares about this thing.
Well, we have the same last name, so it's like
It's one of those weird things. 'Cause I do cousin Logan. I don't know. Like saying Logan Thomas is kind of strange. Like the whole family. It's weird.
Known tight end, Logan Thomas.
That is known tight end. He's a Rams guy, so that's not a great start for you and Evan. Who
I mean, I feel like me and him both got a win. You know, and that their team won a Super Bowl, and they are never going to be good again. So both of us win. We both win.
it's not looking good for our near future, but
Dog,
we'll figure something out.
That roster's tough.
Yeah.
Speaking of tough, the Dallas Cowboys. They traded for Brandin Cooks, who this is like one of those under the radar things. Evan's not going to be afraid of this. Like he's not nervous about Brandin Cooks being a Dallas Cowboy. Here's the thing. Brandin Cooks is like one of the most underrated, just competent, solid receivers of the last 20 years. Like you know exactly what you're getting out of Brandin Cooks. It doesn't matter what situation he's on. It doesn't matter if he's in New England, the Rams, the Texans. The dude is going to put up exactly what he needs to put up. He's going to be fine. He's good. He's solid. They had a opening with Amari Cooper not being on the roster last year. And now suddenly you're like, okay, Brandin Cooks, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, that's a pretty fun 11 personnel situation. You move on from Zeke. You may have the best quarterback in the NFC right now in Dak Prescott. I think the Cowboys are right now my favorite for the number 1 overall seed in the NFC, Evan Swartz. I've been thinking about it with the offense. I think they're going to have the best offense in the NFC next year.
I just don't know why you just constantly do this to me. Like it's such a stupid, absurd concept to have. Who's their offensive coordinator?
It is Brian Schottenheimer.
Oh, so you're saying it's a brand new offensive coordinator who has categorically sucked everywhere he's been.
That's a problem, yeah.
Okay, so then you're going to tell me that they lost continuity, right? The scheme that worked, right? They're gone. And then adding Brandin Cooks, that's going to make them the number 1 seed in the NFC.
I love the defense. They keep Dan Quinn around for another year. Micah Parsons is obviously great. You go up and down the list. I don't know. I think this past year was supposed to be a gap year. They were right there 2 years ago. I don't know, man. I'm just I'm feeling a little optimistic. Do you share that sentiment, Logan?
I don't know if it's Brandin Cooks alone. They've made several moves that I think getting rid of Zeke and picking up Stephon Gilmore and having, someone like CeeDee Lamb, who's obviously your number one guy, and having, like you said, someone that can go next to him and do absolutely anything. Like I saw him when he played on the Rams every week, and yeah, the guy's a stud when he can, remain healthy. And I think that that's going to be a huge factor, but I don't know if I would say that automatically makes them number one in the NFC. Honestly, though, I have to look at some of the other teams right now, what happens in the free agent market overall, and before I would jump to those conclusions.
So here's my thought process. The biggest needs for the Cowboys this offseason when it comes to the draft are going to be the offensive line, right? They added Brandin Cooks. I mean, the Rams fan knows enough. If he's not hurt, he'll play well. Probably play pretty well. If he's hurt, he's not going to play well. There's a good chance, because this is the Cowboys, that they're going to draft a running back in the first round immediately after the Ezekiel Elliott situation. They need more than a running back, and there's a good chance they're going to take Bijan Robinson
if he's there. I don't know if
right?
he'll fall that far. We'll see.
I'm just saying, like, there's so much room for the Dallas Cowboys to do the Dallas Cowboys thing and screw things up. And,
But Zeke wasn't a screw up. Zeke was really good.
No, Zeke wasn't a screw up, but Zeke ended up being first off,
paying him the second contract was a mistake.
That was a screw up.
Yeah.
You don't pay your running back that much money when you have Tony Pollard and he's also having injuries. And he's also overweight. There's a lot of weird stuff there. But either way, it's completely disrespectful to my San Francisco 49ers, and I won't stand for it.
I still think the Niners are going to be great, Evan. I just don't think they're going to be the number one overall seed in the NFC. I'm saying just in seeding.
I could go out and be quarterback for the 49ers, and they would beat the Cowboys.
That's not what I'm saying, though. I would pick them in a playoff matchup. I would. With all this. I'm just saying.
So you're saying that you're expecting the Dallas Cowboys to just beat up an NFC East,
yes,
and win a lot of games, and
yes,
then whatever happens in the playoffs happens in the playoffs.
Right. That is what I'm saying. Yes.
Completely disagree.
I don't know. I'm Brandin Cooks, 6 of his 7 years in the NFL. He's 29, 1,000-yard seasons. He's never made the Pro Bowl, which I thought was weird. I would have guessed he would have gotten there at one point, but he's never made the Pro Bowl. I don't know. I think this is the best spot he's been in a while. And obviously he was on a good Saints team at one point. But, we'll see. I'm just kind of very fascinated by what the Cowboys end up doing here, because OBJ was seemingly like the guy, and then they trade for Brandin Cooks, and I think that was a better move for them.
It was a better move for sure.
But who does OBJ make sense for now? Like, he's going to Twitter and they're like, he's asking for blank, and then OBJ's like, I'm not asking for that on Twitter. And you're like, okay, well, what is going on with OBJ, and where is the right fit? Logan, do you think it's back to Los Angeles? Does it still make sense for a return there? Would you want him back with the Rams this year? Where does OBJ make sense to you?
He's not going to the Rams.
I'd love to.
They wanted him.
I was about to say, I know. I would love to see him with the Rams, but I don't think he wants to come back to us. But I think his best fits are like the Bills or the Jets. I'd love to see him pair up with like Aaron Rodgers and have him with Garrett Wilson out there. That'd be a pretty deadly duo, I think. And, if you give him a quarterback like Josh Allen and, make him a duo with Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis, are all those guys sticking around in Buffalo? I know Stephon will be around, but what's Gabe Davis' contract like?
It's a good question. I don't have that in front of me. I'm pretty sure he's still on the books, but did he get I feel like he got an extension before last season. Am I remembering that correctly? He is 23. So yeah, his contract's got to be.
If you put those wide receivers together with Josh Allen, that'd be pretty crazy. I think that.
I like that. I like that fit for him.
I like that a lot, but I just feel like OBJ is going to end up going to Seattle.
Really?
Yeah, because OBJ already, he's, 30, how old is he, 34?
No, he can't be that old. He's 30. He's 30. Yeah.
Okay, so 30 years old.
Yeah, I was going to say, if Brandin Cooks is 29, there's no way he's 34.
Yeah.
So 30 years old, two lower body injuries. I just don't feel like there's the apex point of like OBJ wanting to go to a really good team and also like a team that's going to want him. I don't think it's there. So I think it's going to be a team that won't be a number 1 seed, that won't maybe win their division, but still could make the playoffs. So I just don't see the Bills adding him.
Do the Chiefs make sense?
The Chiefs make sense just because they always add people like that.
Yeah, that's very true.
I would like the Chiefs. I mean, it's just funny because I was looking at his target. I mean, he obviously in the San Francisco game, Evan, 11 targets, 113 yards in the NFC title game against y'all in 2021. He's 28 at that point, but you go down his splits there. Got targeted a lot. That was a big year. But he's 30, and I don't know. There's a lot of options. Kansas City, I think, is the most fun. Kansas City or Buffalo are probably the two most fun options for him.
I'm curious. Do you think OBJ is going to be on a team week 1?
Yes.
How about you?
Yeah, I think he would be. Like, we expected him to come back last season.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if he wasn't playing week 1, or hadn't come to terms. I feel like he wants to play football, and he might have to take a small pay cut. But $4 million does seem extremely low for someone for OBJ. So he's going to have to find someone that'll take him. But like you said, it might not be the Bills or the Jets. It might be somewhere, not one of those top-tier teams where he ends up.
Yeah, Seattle Seahawks, man. I trust.
Do you want him in Seattle? Does that scare you with that group?
Nothing Seattle does scares me anymore. They used to terrify me, but obviously the Geno Smith, as much as I love him and I think he's a great story, I'm not. I feel very confident that the Niners will win the division. But I wouldn't be afraid of it. I would actually be upset that I actually would like it a little bit. I mean, you know me, I've always been a huge OBJ fan. And I like Geno Smith. I like a good underdog story. So I think that would be a good pairing. But it wouldn't scare me, no.
Okay.
They already have Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf, and it wasn't enough. So
that's true. Larry Tunsil is the highest paid offensive lineman again in the NFL. It's interesting to me. He's like going to have one of those careers when it's all said and done. Like, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. I don't think he's on track for that, but he's obviously gobbling up just amazing contracts. He's always just been good, right? Like, he's never been the best offensive tackle in football. That's never been the case. He's never been graded as like PFF, whoever. Like, he's never been the number 1 left tackle in football, but he's been paid like it for years. And it's like, it's not a bad contract because he's not bad. Like, he's not in that, he's just good. Like, he's somewhere in that 3 to 5 range in offensive tackles in football. And there's something to be said about him just being consistently good, reliable. And now you have him locked in there. The Texans are suddenly having a pretty interesting offseason with Nick Caserio and DeMeco Ryans, where I'm interested to see what they do with the number 2 pick. I think they go quarterback is my guess. Seems like Bryce Young feels like the most obvious option there for the Texans. But you look at that and you trade Brandin Cooks, good deal for them. Tunsil is one of the better left tackles in football. He gets 3 years, $75 million, $50 guaranteed. But they sign Robert Woods. You have Nico Collins. You're going to get John Mechie back, hopefully, fingers crossed there. So then that's something you did not have all of last year. Then you just signed Dalton Schultz, tight end from Dallas, who did not return to Dallas, and I thought he would be staying with the Cowboys. So he's there. Suddenly, you have Dameon Pierce, who I like as a tailback. You get Singletary in there too. The Texans suddenly, they're getting a little interesting. I like a lot of these moves that they're doing, and I think the quarterback situation that they're walking into, whoever it is pretty solid. Do you like all of that for Houston, Evan?
Yeah, I mean, I'm obviously just by nature going to be very curious on what the Houston Texans do with DeMeco being the head coach there now.
Are they going to be your AFC team now?
No, I think that the Chargers will still be my AFC team. Shout out to Justin Herbert. And I can't, in good faith, support anything about Texas. But what I will say, though, is I think adding Jimmy Ward, first and foremost, is a great signing. Jimmy Ward has been, I've said it many times on this podcast, one of the most underrated players in the NFL. I'm happy to see him continuing to maybe, to stay in the scheme. that he's very comfortable in with DeMeco. So I love seeing that. Obviously, bringing in the little guy, not little guys, but like the little pieces like Hassan Ridgeway played really well for the 49ers, as someone I would have loved to have seen come back. So
Jimmy Ward signed with the Texans too, didn't he?
Dog. It's literally what I just said.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah,
hear
I was about to say.
I'm sorry. I thought you
He's
skipped that.
talking about how Jimmy Ward was underrated and
I
was
didn't
a
hear
new
that
piece
part.
that they were adding.
Sorry, I did not hear that part.
Do you have Matlock on in the background?
No,
What's going on?
literally was moving my notes. I'm sorry.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. But I also love that they traded for Shaq Mason. He's a really good guard. So I don't know that they're going to be a 10-win team next year, but I really do love what they've done to build the foundation. Damian is such a good running back.
Yeah.
So exciting. And he was a rookie last season. So when you look at like the Kyle Shanahan, which it's not necessarily that, it's more of the DeMeco, whatever, but like the Kyle Shanahan scheme, you've got a good running back. You've got they're going to have the best quarterback in the draft, most likely. You're building your offensive line out. The defensive line is really going to be the next thing that if you want DeMeco Ryan-led offense to thrive, you're going to need a good pass rush. So it's going to probably take 2 years, but I do love what they're doing.
What do you think, Logan?
Yeah, I think that they're like, making moves that they need to make because, they're always rebuilding. Obviously, like the Texans have been doing this forever, but I'm not sure. Like you said, Laramie Tunsil, I don't know if that's the greatest move. Did you hear about what Pat McAfee was talking about his advisor that is like not allowed to do negotiations with the NFL, but has gotten lots of like huge contracts for all these players and is just like some expert advisor? I don't know. I just thought that was a weird situation that, like you said, he hasn't ever been the best and he's getting paid like it. So I don't know if that's the best move for them. But besides that, I think a lot of the moves they're making in the offseason so far are benefiting their future.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing that everyone's been talking about is the 3-year contract, right? And a lot of people, especially Duke Mayweather and some of the other big, offensive line guys on Twitter have been just talking about the offensive lineman getting a 3-year contract is the best way for them to go. And I think Tunsil's a very good example of how it can work. You can't not pay him like the best offensive tackle in the NFL, just the same way that Jimmy Garoppolo was at one point the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. So it's just the nature of the business, and I think it was a really smart move on his part. I would be curious to see if this is maybe going to change soon the way contracts are written.
I also just think there's just value in having good and available. Like Jake Matthews is never going to be the best left tackle in football. He's never been close, but he's been good. Like Jake's somewhere in the 5 to 10 range for the Falcons year over year. He's fine. He'll probably be good to great for the next 5 years too. If you made him the highest paid tackle in football, I wouldn't be upset as a Falcons fan. That would be fine. Like that would just be like, hey, he's consistent. He plays in every game. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about the blind side. There's something to that. I think not everyone can have a Trent Williams like Evan. Like that's just not a possibility. And you just saw what life is like without a big time left tackle this past year, Logan, with the Rams. When those players retire, it can get ugly. In a hurry. The Lions are remaking their secondary. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Cam Sutton, VFL, and Emmanuel Mosley, who Evan knows quite well.
49ers legend. The Lions are quietly, sneakily having a really good offseason too. I mean, obviously with Aaron Rodgers out of the division, the Vikings making moves to kind of take a step back. It certainly feels like the Lions are not messing around with their weak spot in the linebacker core in the secondary and beefing up their last little bit of uncertainty. And I mean, you still have Jeff Okudah there, who was a lot better this past year. I don't know, Logan, are you pretty high on what the Lions are doing and how they're approaching their offseason thus far?
Yeah, they really needed to focus on their defense. They're obviously one of the worst defenses in the NFL in most important categories. And yeah, they obviously needed to focus on the defense before doing anything on offense. And I think picking up guys like Emmanuel Mosley, Gardner Johnson, and Cameron Sutton are huge pickups and completely changes their entire defense. So I think those are definitely important moves.
Evan, what are they getting in Emmanuel Mosley?
Oh, he's constantly, how do I put this? He's just so solid, and he's constantly overplaying his value. He's always doing better than you expect him to. He steps up to the plate every single time. He came in as I think an undrafted free agent. A lot of times, fans had some hesitancy when he was coming in to replace someone who was injured, and he just every time stepped up to the plate, and then all of a sudden became a solid starter. Opposite of Richard Sherman, and last year obviously had an injury that was unfortunate. But you're really going to get a hardworking, all around good football player. He's like the most pure example of Kyle Shanahan's "we just want good football players and good people" dynamic.
They also have 5 picks in the first 85 in the draft coming up in a month. The Lions, 2 first-rounders, 2 second-rounders. Jameis Williams came back late. I think he's going to be awesome for them. I just look around. I'm like, this Lions team, they're the favorites in the NFC North. I think this is about to be the best Lions team and the best Lions situation in my lifetime, which is pretty remarkable. But shout out to them. Evan, I was thinking about this week, and it's a team that has not been brought up really all that much for Lamar Jackson. Can you make the case against the Patriots trading for Lamar Jackson, signing him to the offer sheet, and then just doing the trade? If you're New England, why would you not do this?
Because New England doesn't ever do anything cool or fun.
But wouldn't that be cool and fun?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, can't we hope?
That would be. I mean, if you're Bill Belichick, why would you not? You get to ride out. Who cares about 5 years from now? Lamar Jackson.
Lamar's way too cool for New England across the board.
Cam Newton went.
I know.
Did you not just see Jalen Brown talking the other day?
Who?
Yeah, but that was struggling Cam.
Cam Newton was begging a football team to take him.
Yeah, I know.
No. Did you Jalen Brown of the Boston Celtics the other day was talking about how he had trouble starting businesses in Boston, how he had trouble buying a home, and because he was black. And you think Lamar Jackson, one of the coolest African American athletes, who's also one of the best athletes, I hate that fit. I would be so upset if I would literally boycott the NFL if I had to see Robert Kraft and Lamar Jackson together. I'd be furious. And then let's just talk about it from a practical standpoint. Mm-hmm. Their weapons are terrible. Their roster's still not.
He's used to that. He hasn't had receivers in Baltimore for years.
You think that he's going to go from what he's had to deal with that whole time and where he's going to try and go next is somewhere that's worse? No, we want Lamar to thrive.
I think
why can't he go to Atlanta?
Not ready. Atlanta's not ready.
Well, not with that.
They don't have the pieces. They're not ready.
Wait, hold on. New England's ready?
I think New England.
New England just spent the most amount of money ever in an offseason free agent spending 2 seasons ago, and half of those guys are gone now.
Well, no, they still have an elite defense. The defense is still there. They are going to have one of the 5 to 10 best defenses in football, maybe even better. Bill O'Brien's walking the door. Bill O'Brien did great work with Bryce Young over the last 2 years at Alabama. I think he would do good work with Lamar. It's not like Matt Patricia still calling plays for the Patriots this year. I mean, you have Ramondre Stevenson, who I like a lot. I like that compliment. You have Hunter Henry. They just signed Mike Gesicki. I mean, the offensive line should be solid. You have Trent Brown at the left tackle spot. Your 49ers legend, Kendrick Bourne. Juju's over there now. Tyquan Thornton in the second round last year. I don't hate it. I think that's the team for me. I think if I am running the Pats, that is the one who makes the most sense to me, is Lamar. It's like Bill Belichick, how many more years is he going to coach football? How many, are you really going to ride out with Mac Jones? Is that really how this ends for you? Is you're going to do 5 years of Mac Jones and retire if you're Bill Belichick? Is that really how you want to go out? Or do you want to go out with one of the 5 best quarterbacks in football right now, see what happens, roll the dice, give up some picks that aren't going to matter to you anyway, because you're going to be retired and gone? Just do it. I feel like that's the one that is not being talked about enough. Lamar Jackson to the Pats, give up the 2 first rounders, give him the contract, the AFC East would be an absolute bloodbath. Aaron Rodgers, Lamar Jackson, Tua and the Dolphins, and Mike McDaniel, and then Josh Allen and the Bills. That would be unbelievable. That'd be fun.
Do we think that Mac Jones is done in New England from like a long-term perspective? Like, do you think that they have any hope or faith in him as a quarterback?
It seems no, because everything that's being leaked is not a good sign. Like what's already being leaked out of there is not great. It feels like someone in that building does not want Mac Jones to be the long-term guy based on stuff that gets out. Where I'm like, that's not something that should get out about your franchise quarterback. That's a bad look. Someone's saying stuff they should not be saying to people.
Seems like it might be Belichick.
I don't know who it is, but like, it's not great. And then when you have the discourse of like, are we sure Bailey Zappi's not better than Mac Jones? Like, are we sure? I don't know. It's not great. Would you do Trey Lance for Mac Jones right now, Evan?
Hell no.
Would you not?
No.
I would actually do that if I'm the Niners.
No way. Are you kidding me? First off, Brock Purdy is better than Mac Jones. I
don't believe that. No, hold on. Hold on. You don't believe that. You don't believe that.
I don't have to. It's not a matter of belief. It's fact. Did you not watch him play last year? Name one time that Mac Jones did anything like that last year.
I've seen Nick Mullins thrive in that San Francisco Kyle Shanahan offense.
Nick Mullins.
Not like that. Not like Brock Purdy did. That's not the same.
Nick Mullins threw a bunch of yards when the team was trailing from behind, losing every single game they were in. Brock Purdy went in and beat playoff football teams. Mm-hmm. That's not the same.
But you don't think Mac Jones could have done a better job than what Purdy did
Absolutely not. Listen, Listen, I want Trey Lance to stay just because I am one of those people that truly believes in that potential of ceiling. I will bet on. I will do scratch hits. I will take equity and stock options in companies that are never going to I love to believe in like I said, I love an underdog story. So I am going to be, team Trey Lance as much as I humanly can because he does have that high athletic ceiling. He does have the incredible athleticism that he showed, and I want to see what that can come to. That said, even though I am a huge Trey Lance fan, what Brock Purdy did last year was not some fluke. I have seen bad quarterbacks play in Kyle Shanahan's offense multiple times. Brian Hoyer, C.J. Beathard, Nick Mullins. I will not say Jimmy Garoppolo. He's not bad. But I have seen really bad, and like you said, Nick Mullins put up a bunch of yards when they were playing from behind because they could not win a football game. That was not that. Mac Jones is about as, he is literally flavorless, plain Greek yogurt. He is as boring as it gets. He is just middle of the road. He should have been drafted in the fourth round.
But you don't think he could get you that Kyle could get Mac Jones and this Niners defense in this group to the Super Bowl? You know exactly what you're getting in Mac Jones. Purdy's coming off an injury. Trey Lance is a huge unknown. Would you really not ride with Mac Jones for a year and think you could win the Super Bowl?
Whatever you think that he could do with Mac Jones, I believe he could do more with Trey Lance. Trey Lance, you have to remember, when he was able to play before he broke his ankle, was the cause of a really impressive run game and was making some really impressive throws. He had a couple touchdowns that were just very good throws. I have seen it. It's just a very small sample size. I would rather have that small sample size knowing that Kyle does have an offense that he used with Jimmy Garoppolo that is just run the ball and safe. I would rather Trey Lance run that with the opportunity to make a couple plays here and there that are off script than have Mac Jones, who looked like he just ate an all you can eat buffet at IHOP, playing quarterback.
Does IHOP have all you can eat buffets?
I don't know. I'm sure he's
Denny's has all you can eat pancakes.
Yeah, that.
You're quite familiar with this. Hold on. What is are you a Denny's guy, Logan?
No. My dad just used to take us there and make us compete.
He's just a man. He's just a man with knowledge.
My dad would take us there, and he wouldn't make us compete. He'd be like, "Let's go to Denny's. We'll see who can eat the most pancakes." And me and Kyle would be eating 6-7 pancakes when we were 10 or 11 years old, and I'd just die, bro. That was so much.
Hold on, how many pancakes are you scarfing down in this moment? In one sitting?
It was Yeah, dude, I had like 7, 8 pancakes. Kyle had like 9. Yeah, and then we went home, and I like saw Denny's commercial come on, and I was like, I think I might die right now. Like, yeah, but
What's the most amount of food you've eaten in one sitting?
most amount of food I've eaten in one sitting.
Sober.
Yes.
Dude, I have no idea. One time I ate like 20 White Castle burgers. I've eaten like 20 tacos, like street tacos. Mm-hmm. I don't know exactly what the most I've ever eaten in a sitting is. But yeah, I've eaten like huge portions of like spaghetti and stuff like that. I don't know.
Evan, what's
Kyle
the most
eats
amount of
more
food
than I
you've eaten
do.
in one sitting? What's the top for you?
Dog, I've been on Adderall since I was in like 6th grade. There's no high end amounts of food eating. It is
Wait, what does Adderall do?
suppresses the shit out of your appetite.
Oh, does it really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, trying to eat on Adderall is like wrestling a bear.
Really?
That's what I take Vyvanse, and I like if I want to eat, if like I won't take it. Like if I wanted to like actually eat.
My process of how I handle things is I do like a 850 calorie protein shake in the morning before Adderall kicks in, and then I'll have like a light lunch maybe, and then eat dinner.
What do you put in the protein shake for 850 calories?
A cup of oats, a banana, 4 strawberries, collagen peptides, but it's just a powder. It's not really anything. 2 scoops of protein, honey, and 2 big scoops of natural peanut butter.
Oh, that sounds good.
It's very good. I've been doing it forever.
I was waiting for you to say peanut butter. I was like, he's gonna put peanut butter in.
Oh, 100%.
It's the best.
Dog, I've ate more peanut butter in the last 8 years than like 99.9% of people I would imagine on Earth.
Do you do peanut butter out of the jar?
I do natural peanut butter out of a jar in the protein shake. I don't like eat it whole.
Okay, I do that. Like Samantha hates that I do this.
Don't get me wrong. I would do it.
It's so good.
I would never not. I would, dude. Apples in peanut butter. It's amazing.
Oh, that's top notch stuff. I don't know. Our cousin Clayton, I've watched eat 2 Waffle House All-Star specials in one sitting, and that was.
I was about to say, Kyle does that all the time.
Kyle, though, it's funny too, and I hope Kyle listens to this, because Kyle would I always thought it was hilarious. Like, he went, when I stayed with them out there, Evan, he just like went to the store and bought all these steaks. Like, he just bought a bunch of steaks and just was eating steaks all week. He was just grilling out some steaks.
He eats like a bird, though. Like, he's
Does he
eating
really?
like salmon salads and shit for dinner with his wife, and I'm like, what have you become?
I mean, salmon is fire, though. I mean,
No, it's delicious. It's delicious. It's just like what he used to do. It's like he called me a minute ago too, but he used to like, bro, it was my birthday and we went out to a steakhouse and this guy got it was like a 50-something ounce steak, and you like cook it yourself at like, at like a grill, like, a big grill for like everyone, and like, dude, he's cooking the steak and he has to like burn it to actually get it to cook, like, because it's so thick, and he's like has to cook it like really hot, really quick, and it was like
hurting my arteries.
Dude, it was like this big, and he ate the whole thing and then started finishing other people's steaks.
That's insane,
Yeah.
but also doesn't surprise me. I've never seen anyone eat as much steak as cousin Kyle. The man liked his steak, but he's out. When you get married, steak's out. You switch from steak to salmon. Yeah. The last big thing I wanted to touch on here, I wanted to grade the NFL coaching hires. There was only 5. It felt like there were going to be more heading into the offseason, but there were only 5. It was Sean Payton, Shane Steichen, I think it's Steichen, Jonathan Gannon, DeMeco Ryans, and Frank Reich. I want to do a roundtable here. If you had to guess 3 years from now, which is about, I think, enough time to get a good gauge of how things went and enough time to see if they're going to pan out. If you had to rank 1 through 5, or do 5 through 1 to see who does the best or worst to best. Evan, we'll start with you. How do you think we'll look at these 5 hires from worst to first 3 years from now?
I want to get the list up so I can look at it again, because I know Gannon's last.
Gannon's last?
Yeah.
I think I agree.
Let's see. So in terms of like are we ranking it in who wins the most games right away or who?
No,
in
3
5
years from now we do this pod and we revisit and we're like, these were the best hires. Like now that we can see the 3-year sets, these were the best hires in order, best to worst.
Yeah. So best, I do think that DeMeco is going to be the best. The reason why I say that is 1, momentum. 2, he's young, he's smart, he's very good at what he does. The biggest part of the equation for why I think he'll be the best is because players love him. He's shown that the scheme he can handle, calling plays, he can handle the defenses, but players love DeMeco. Every time you've heard any single NFL player talk about DeMeco Ryans, whether it's J.J. Watt, a former teammate, or anybody that played on the defense last year, and people on the offense too, they love DeMeco Ryans. And I think when you have that kind of respect and you know how to do things the right way, you can get it done, which is obviously the opposite for Gannon. I want to be excited about Frank Reich. I hope he has a better shot with the Panthers. I do think they're in a good position to obviously have finally a quarterback, right? So I think them at 2 makes sense to me. I'm just worried, though, because the Panthers haven't exactly – I mean, they've been struggling for so long. I'm going to actually put Shane Steichen of the Colts ahead of Sean Payton. And the reason why is I think the Broncos, that is like the exact opposite of what happened when Peyton Manning went to Denver. I think it's just Russell Wilson was so bad last year. Not because I hate him, not because of unforeseen circumstances. He was just bad. And I don't know that can be fixed with Sean Payton. So I'll say Steichen, then I'll say Sean Payton, and then Gannon.
I don't hate that. Logan, 5-1. What would you do?
Well, honestly, I'm not as good with the coaches in the NFL, so I'm not going to have such advanced analytics on them. But I have Gannon at 5, Reich at 4, Payton at 3, Steichen at 2, and DeMeco at 1. And a lot of those are because of the points that he just made. But yeah, I just think that with Reich, just coming off being the coach from the Colts, didn't have much success there, and the Panthers have been a dumpster fire basically since that 2013 season, 2015, whenever they played 2015 when they lost to the Broncos in the Super Bowl. They haven't been very good since Cam, so I don't see them doing very well. I feel like Payton isn't going to make much of a difference when it comes to the Broncos just because, like he was saying, how bad they were last season. And then, you're not sure how to say this guy's last name, Steichen or Steichen?
I think it's Steichen, right? I don't know. It just looks like Steichen.
Don't go by what I said. I don't have any concept, and I'm terrible with names.
So, yeah, Steichen is number 2 because he's had success where in his last 2 teams when he was coaching with the Chargers and Eagles. And then I have, DeMeco basically for everything that he said.
Yeah. I have DeMeco too. All right, here's my 1 through 5, or 5 through 1. I think the worst, I don't think it's a question. I think it's a distant 5 is Jonathan Gannon. I don't see how any of this works. I think this all blows up. I don't think Kyler is long for Arizona. I think DeAndre Hopkins might be out this offseason. I'm out. I would sell all your Cardinal stock if I were you. I think they're headed for a rebuild. I think it's going to be bad. So he's a distant 5. 4, though, might surprise some folks. 4, I have Sean Payton. No coach has ever done what Sean Payton's trying to do, which is win a Super Bowl at 2 different stops. Never happened. As we talked about, I think you and I, Logan, a few months back. Just doesn't happen, weirdly enough. They never won 2 at 2 different places. If Sean had made the point to be like, I'll take the job if you trade Russell Wilson or you take a quarterback in the first round, like there's a mandate, then I would probably be a little bit more optimistic about how this marriage goes. But based on what we saw from Russell last year and him being tied to fixing Russell Wilson in Denver, I don't think that's going to happen. It also doesn't help that they're in the same division as the Chargers and the Chiefs. it's just I don't see a path. I think this was a mistake on Sean Payton's part to take this job. I think he should have waited another year, seen what happened in LA, and if it goes awry again, I think Brandon Staley probably would have been out. And then you could just take the Chargers job and take over with Justin Herbert, which would have been a much, much better situation. So I think that was probably a mistake on Peyton's part. So I'm putting him at 4. 3, Shane Steichen. I think he's the biggest what if, where I'm like, I think he'll be fine. Indy hasn't been bad over the last couple of years. They just kept swinging and missing on the veteran quarterbacks, Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz, Philip Rivers. Just never was the guy. It seems like they're going to draft their guy now, and he has a good track record with quarterbacks and stuff like that. So there's still a lot of talent on the roster. I would not be surprised if he has success there. Modicum of success, like 500 or a little bit better. Number 2, DeMeco Ryans, for all the reasons that Evan and Logan laid out there. I think he's really good, and I think they're going to draft Bryce Young at number 2, and I think they're going to be a really good team. I think they're going to be right there at 7-8 wins right away. I think the defense is going to be pretty solid and will eventually be elite. And then I like the offensive staff guys. Did you know Josh McDaniels' brother is the wide receiver coach? Lane Kiffin's brother is the linebackers coach. Old friend Bill Lazor is the senior offensive analyst. That man has been in this league forever. I think he's coached at every single stop at this point. But it's a lot of, wait, that guy's still in this league? On the Texans coaching staff at this moment. But that's all true. And then number 1, I think it's Frank Reich. I think being able to draft your quarterback who you want at number 1, they trade up. The NFC South sucks. Tampa Bay is heading for a rebuild. New Orleans is fighting like hell to avoid a rebuild, but I don't think that's going to happen. I don't like the Carr signing and them just kicking the can down the road. Kamara's on the back 9 of his elite era. Michael Thomas can't stay healthy. I'm not a believer. Losing a lot more talent on defense. Just not a Saints guy. So I think there's a path for the Panthers to do a pretty quick turnaround. They draft C.J. Stroud number 1 overall. You could just see it. They've been active, signed Miles Sanders this offseason, bringing Adam Thielen. I think they're serious about it. I think they're going to be aggressive, and I think they're going to try and win. I would not be surprised. And Frank Reich was never bad in Indianapolis. He still won a lot of football games. He was solid. He just never had his own guy, and I think he's going to get his own guy in Carolina. And that staff is top-notch that he's put together in Carolina. So I would go Frank Reich, number 1. So I think the Falcons and the Panthers will be going to war atop the NFC South for the next 3 to 5 years. That's my guess. There you go. That was fun. We'll end on this. Quickly. Matt Stafford, would you trade him this summer? Logan, would you do it? Do you want Matt? 2 things. Would you trade him? And 2, do you want Matt Stafford to still be the Rams quarterback next year?
I definitely want him to be the Rams quarterback next year. God, if I were to say yes, my mom would actually kill me. She'd be like, she'd be like, oh, you want to trade it? No, I want to see Matthew Stafford stick around for a little while longer, see how he does. Yeah, last season wasn't our best performance, but he was out with injury not early, but before we got to the end of the season. So yeah, I'd like to see him stick around. I wouldn't want to trade him just yet.
Okay. What about you, Evan?
I mean, if I'm being just very blunt, to me it seems like Sean McVay is maybe just having his buddies for 1 or 2 more years. I don't know what he's trying to accomplish. No, I was very surprised he came back. I'm very surprised that Matthew Stafford came back. If I'm Matthew Stafford, I'm retiring. I don't know why you do the Brady thing, but who knows? It depends on how serious his injuries are. If Matthew Stafford's healthy, like really healthy, and can recreate what he did in the Super Bowl run, like I think that changes really everything. But I think what we're looking at right now is maybe not 100% Matthew Stafford coming back to a really struggling Rams roster. So you can't trade him. The value's not there. The contract, you can't trade him. And I don't know who would want him for that price. So I think you just gotta let him do his thing, and maybe he can be the soft landing for the rebuild that's going to be happening. I don't know.
I'm interested to see what ultimately happens here, but either way, this is going to be an interesting offseason for the Rams as they continue to figure out if they're going to do a full-on teardown, rebuild, retool. I don't really know what they do. Nothing would surprise me in LA with the Rams. Cousin Logan, Evan Sowards, thank you as always, my friends and family. It's weird to say both on this very podcast, but that's true. That's all I've got. Thank you as always. And I'll talk to you next week, Evan. And Logan, I'll talk to you very soon.